Hello everyone, it's Michelle Patterson here with Angel Souls, and today I just wanted to talk quickly about some rules that you can break if you have a spiritual channel on YouTube. Now, if you are a YouTuber, you know there are certain things that you're supposed to do with your videos. This is like how to optimize, your channel, get the most out of your algorithms, and little tips and tricks to capture your audience and what have you. But the thing is whenever YouTube does a panel, unless I've missed it, I've never seen somebody who has a spiritual channel ever be represented. And as somebody who's been doing this for a few years now, I do feel like some of the rules just don't apply to us. So let's get into it. The number one thing I think we as spiritual YouTubers, the rule we can break is doing heavy editing. Now that doesn't mean that you can't have fun and be artistic with your videos. I've certainly been trying to go down that path with my weeklies, with the editing and putting music over the auto write, but that's a little different because what would you do if you sat there and watched me writing for 10 minutes? That's so boring. I have to kind of cut it down, put some music in there. But if you are somebody who practices an esoteric art with some sort of divination tool like cards, you have to be careful about how much you're editing. This could cause distrust from your audience. Now, this is not encouraging you to, placate paranoid people, or people who just want to tear you down. We're not talking about that, but you do have to kind of let a long shot play out as much as you can when you do card readings, because if you do too much editing, people think that you're manipulating the cards, and if you do that on a regular basis, then eventually you're going to lose subscribers because people are just, they want to be a part of the process in this kind of work, right? Now, I do tend to edit sometimes, like if I go back and I watch and I'm doing a card reading, I'm explaining a card, and I realize I'm rambling, or I realize I just repeated myself, I'll edit that out, right? I mean, there are some things that I'll edit out. Or maybe I drop half the deck on the floor and I had to unhook my mic and I'm crawling around and ain't nobody got to see that. So I will edit that out as well. But for the most part, I think for, that sort of esoteric art, good general rule, let them see you shuffle. Let it be a period of silence. Let them be a part of the process. Let them breathe with you. Don't let them think that they are seeing you manipulate the reading in any way. The second thing that's kind of a rule for YouTubers is interact with your audience. Interact with your audience. Well, if you do this kind of work, then you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm about to say. You have to be careful about not getting sucked into people who are incredibly needy, or they're like psychic vampires, or they're trying to get information out of you for free, right? You do something valuable in this world. If you're coming from a pure space, you are doing something valuable. You deserve to have a nice, comfortable, safe home, a nice, comfortable, safe car. You deserve to not be in debt. You deserve to have a chance to go out and experience life and travel and rejuvenate yourself. You deserve it. Just like everybody deserves a paycheck, so do you. But it seems like when you do esoteric arts, or if you are a reader, a medium, or whatever, people really expect you to be there for them and to give them things for free. And, use your own discretion, whatever your comfort level is. But if you're not careful with how much you're engaging with people and in what way you're engaging with your audience, you can get drained very, very quickly. This was something that I had to learn the hard way. I actually became severely ill a while ago and couldn't figure out what the heck was going on with me. I thought I was just having a streak of bad luck with my health. And then it occurred to me, no, I feel this obligation to, instead of getting sleep, to sit on YouTube and answer everybody's every little thing. And that just doesn't work. And also, if you get to be a bigger channel, I'm still considered a small channel, but if you get to be a big channel, how the heck are you going to be able to sit there with all the comments on all the videos? And you know what I'm saying? How are you going to be able to handle that and still be able to take care of yourself? We also can't we can't just glaze over the fact that spiritual channels do attract a very specific kind of audience. It can be varied. You're going to have very different energies coming in. And some of those energies might not be the nicest people, okay? They might be narcissists or sociopaths who we know the spiritual community attracts those kinds of people. It's not because they're trying to be enlightened themselves. It's because they want to come in and feed off of vulnerable people who often find their way to spirituality because they're going through a trauma, because they're in a lower frequency, and this is food for them, okay? So if you're a spiritual YouTuber and you're out there and you're trying to engage with your audience, you might have, and I've had this happen, you might have somebody actually make up a story about losing someone, and they want you to feel sorry for them. They want to siphon off the energy of everybody else. Another example is, a lot of you, if you saw my narcissism video, I was friends with a covert narcissist for a very long time. And what was so creepy about that whole situation is that she claimed to be so spiritual, so into everything that I was into. Like, she was like single white femaling me here. You know what I mean? Like, she was taking on my identity so that she could convince me that we were soulmates as friends, okay? Later on, because I had not grown yet, I had not come out of that headspace yet, I was still friends with her. I started opening up and letting her know some of the things that happened to me in my past. About a week later, she's going on Facebook on another YouTuber's page and basically taking on my story and pretending that the same thing had happened to her. And that's when there was plenty of signs that it was the beginning of the end, but that was one of the big blaring things that I was like, oh my gosh, it was such a learning experience. I realized that I had people in my audience who were doing similar things just to invoke sympathy from people, and that probably was a lie because it was too similar to what I had just told her. So she was taking it on herself to leave a comment to try to get this person to feel sorry for her, and guess what? It worked. It worked. She had the attention of that YouTuber. She had the attention of all these other people going, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for you. So you have to be very careful. If you're listening to this and you think that that sounds heartless, I would encourage you to do a self-check. Make sure you're not being an enabler. Make sure you're not being codependent. Make sure you're taking care of yourself, okay? Because this kind of work is already very touchy, right? It leaves you wide open. And then to put yourself on the internet, you got to put some protection mechanisms in place. It's always great to tell your audience how much you love them, how much you appreciate them, but it is not your duty, even as a reader who doesn't have a YouTube channel, it is not your duty to give in to everybody and to feed their energetic needs, okay? Especially at the expense of your own energy. The third thing I want to talk about that is a rule I think you're free to break if you are a spiritual channel on YouTube is content. All right, so there are certain expectations out there with esoteric arts and how they are approached. I think you can take some liberties with that. It's however you feel you are as a reader. But also, you know, again, remember the kind of audience and some of the potential people that could be in your audience. If they're coming and getting demanding of your time, you know, that whole rule of give them what they want, if it isn't good for you, if you are feeling depleted, if there's not an equal exchange of energy, if you're basically, you know, 1 week out of every month, you're producing all these videos, you're basically not getting paid for a week out of every month. And these people, especially some people, if they start to have a sense of entitlement around that, or I want to see you do it this way, or I don't like it when you do it that way, this is the one area that I don't think you need to give into that, okay? Again, if you're out there doing all kinds of content like that, then you're happy with it, by all means, go ahead and do it. But if you're somebody who's like, you know what, I dread doing, I was doing monthlies for the longest time. I did not like it. I did not like it. It stressed me out. It took about a week out of every month where basically I wasn't getting paid. I was getting sick. I was getting worn out. I couldn't do the things that would feed me as a reader because I was working on these videos. And when I decided to stop doing those and to start shifting focus so that I could be a little more artistic with my weekly readings, add in some auto writing as well so I could produce different kinds of content, there was some backlash, not a whole lot. And I know some of you are very curious about that because, you know, I know you're probably getting exhausted as well. And you're probably like, can I stop these monthlies? Can I stop these weeklies? Depends on your audience, of course. But my point here is that even though I got backlash from that, it was backlash from people who had a sense of entitlement. It was backlash from people who they never had any intention of, they just think they deserve everything for free and that everyone should just always be there for them. They're the kind of people who don't produce their own energy. They want to just take from other people. So I lost them as subscribers, but it was fine. It changed the energy of my channel. So please remember, always produce the content that you want to produce. Yes, it's great to get feedback from your audience, but I've seen spiritual channels where they're like, guys, and I kind of do this too. I'll kind of play an idea out there on Facebook usually. I'll be like, hey guys, I was thinking about doing this. What do you think? And I'm asking for their opinions, seeing if that's something that, appeals to them. To some extent, I do that as well. But I've heard some YouTubers out there because, again, it's a rule that we're supposed not like an actual rule, it's just sort of like an unspoken rule. It's an etiquette thing to ask your audience, what do you want to see? Tell me, and then you read the comments under some of these people's, under their video or whatever, and it just opens them up for criticism. It just opens them up for all these people who don't have a YouTube channel themselves to put demands on them. When you are a reader, when you are a medium, you're already sensitive, okay? If you're going to do this kind of work, it can already be very demanding. So if you're going to choose to express yourself on the internet, this would be an area I think where, you can make some decisions for yourself. Take your power back. Do what works for you, what brings you joy. The people who are meant to get the message from you will be attracted to you. If they are not, let them go. But be careful about opening yourself up to that kind of energy for people to boss you around. Do you know what I mean? It's your channel. You're free to express in the way that you want. So we'll kind of leave it there just for now. Those were just 3 things that I thought, you know what, again, we're not very represented on YouTube as a platform, even though there's so many of us, right? We're just kind of not talking about this stuff. And I know there are a lot of channels out there that have gotten a lot of subscribers by telling people what they want to hear. That's maybe another thing we can discuss another time. But in this case, on this video, I'd like to know what your opinion is. So that's not me saying, hey, critique me. Hey, tell me, boss me around. Tell me what kind of content to make. I'm not negating what I just said. But I do want to know what your thoughts are on being a spiritual YouTuber, if you are one. How do you approach things? Have there been times where you felt like you really had to back off? I also want to mention too, like there probably will be some spiritual YouTubers out there who use their channel to unfortunately manipulate others as well. I've had them leave comments on my channel. I know who they are. So I wouldn't be surprised if they are watching this and they leave their comments down below. But if you're just coming at this and maybe you're a new YouTuber or maybe you're just looking to switch up your channel, really pay attention to the comments down below and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about here. All right. So I am sending you guys so much love and take care.